to bring in Mr. Ravi Karkara into the conversation as well. Mr. Karkara, I want to understand from your perspective, you're joining us from the US, where most of this action is taking place on a daily basis. How exactly are the consumers in the United States of America reacting to the tariffs as they now come into play on a daily basis? More and more nations. We've also learned that soon there will be a hike on further products as far as imports from India are concerned, that there is some sort of a tag that will be required which will state that this product is now facing a 50% tariff, so on and so forth. How exactly are the US consumers really reacting to what's happening globally?
Thank you, Devika. Always great to be back, and always lovely to hear Dr. Saturo because he's amazing and very eloquent when he talks about the perspective. Really, I think as you nailed it, right? Ultimately, it is the consumer, which post-COVID has been under a lot of burden. And as you know, during the Biden administration, we had a lot of hue and cry. And we are hearing the same echo right now coming through people saying that, we really need to put an end to this because there is a growing fatigue where people are questioning whether how well this is going. Is this really going to impact the US long-term, gains in terms of economic gains? Or will this really result in, and many have been calling it, is this the Great Depression 2.0 in the making? And that Great Depression which really actually impact America. But really on a practical basis, you see an increase, you see a worry, you see a lot of anxiety, especially for the middle class. And I've been here 20 years, and we have seen the cost go up, and all the promises which are made, you don't really see them, right? Because you ultimately it's your pocket that is most impacted, and it's really again, if you look at America, there's a huge diversity, right? So the people who really are not all that well off, they are extremely impacted. And I would say, some of the folks who were rejoicing the tariff and this is the ultimate solution are suddenly realizing the economics of what tariff means to a particular country and ultimately what it does to the consumer pocket. So you will see eventually, from my perspective, if this saga goes on. In my last interview with you people, all of you had said that, I see at some point, because there's a lot of amalgamation of geopolitics linked to trade. And of course, there's also personal ego linked into this mix. It's not working out very, very well. So really, on to sum up and say that, it is the everyday, person who gets his or her bread or the milk or the products coming. And interestingly, as you must have seen that, some of the products which have been exempted, right? For example, pharmaceuticals, right? So you see that kind of pick and choose factor here. But I think what it's pushed India, I would say, to a very interesting, as I said, isn't this from a surprise, shock, disappointment phase to saying that we need to embrace the situation and let's look at, as Dr. Saturo was saying, let's look at our traditional partners in Japan. As you know, I'm the Suzuki generation, back in Delhi. I still remember when the, Maruti Suzuki 800 came, and you just talked about the e-launch today, right? It's those are important pieces that many of the investors are looking at. And if you look at the conversation, which will probably is again ignited, is the regional comprehensive economic partnership conversation, which, as you know, in 2019, India has walked out from it. But Japan and Singapore, if I remember, kept that door open for India. And if India is going to look at the RECP, you are looking at by 2030 close to about 80 to 100 billion opportunity just in this part of the world, in Asia. So I think there are these other aspects that are coming through. But honestly, on a personal, professional, and on a daily basis, there is extreme worry, as you pointed out. The tags are coming back in, and I think there will be an increase in the inflation, and that, of course, will impact the economy. And I think it's really playing around. And of course, eventually, and somebody asked me to delete my post on LinkedIn. Eventually, I also said, is this accelerating the de-dollarization? And is this also accelerating the call for a global currency? Because there are many, many multiple factors at play, and the ramifications are very strong and serious. Yes, the most serious thing is that on one day you're calling Prime Minister Modi to the White House and saying that, best partnership ever. In 3 months, then you're saying, well, let's roll back. This is not happening. So I think this will have very serious consequences on the US market particularly. I think EU is, as you know, is working towards an FTA. We have in India the UK FTA. Of course, there are many bilateral trade agreements between India, Japan, Singapore, and many others, UAE. But I think the regional thing will come up, and of course, the upcoming meeting in China is something that everybody is watching very, very closely.